What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sith Council. Excited to have you with us. I'm by my lonesome on this one. Well, kind of by my lonesome. Brett's in the studio right now working on. That's why you see all these lights and everything, too. The lights look better right now. That's because of you guys. That is because of you, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But on today's show, we're going to talk about Ahsoka. That's wrapping pretty soon. The Acolyte's adding some new cast. Are we going to get more at D23? What's to come at D23? That's this weekend. So what are we going to hear on Saturday? There's so much to talk about. There's going to be a lot of Star Wars news this weekend, and there's some right now. And there's a lot of questions that you guys had asked as well. So if you haven't done this already, please subscribe. We're trying to get to 70,000 by the end of the year. And if you can do that, we can try to get Sith Council, big thing, stand-up comedy, a theater near you. I always wanted to say something like that, the theater near you, and I just said it. So how about that? I'm special. I peaked. It's not true at all. Maybe it is. Who the hell knows? Well, we're excited about it. Let's get into it. It's Sith Council. Let's start the show. You ready? I'm ready. Let's do it.
I can feel your anger.
Louder than I wanted it to be.
It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sorry for that blasting your ears out. A few people listening to this on audio and almost drove off the highway. I apologize. It's loud. It's good. New setup. I'm excited about it. What do you think about the new lighting? Well, that's because of you guys. That's right. So, Brett and myself, Brett's really been helping me out, really. I mean, honestly, doing it all. When I went on my own, I said, first I was with Skybound for about 3 years. Took an executive position over there. Very thankful for everything that happened over there. And then I made the decision I got to go out on my own and do my own thing. And I started to do it. And I was like, well, as Brett and I were talking, we've got to redo this whole studio. And we said, look, we're going to put everything on the list that we want to put on there, get what we have to get. If people want to help donate, they can. If not, then, eventually we'll get to it. And I have been overwhelmed with how much you guys have done. And I'm just going to read a few names. I'm not going to get to all of them right now. And I'll be able to do it on Big Thing. I'll be able to do it throughout the week. These are just some of the names of people who donated gifts. And by the way, with that list that's up there right now, there's very few things left on the list, by the way. If anybody donates, please put a note so I can thank you, like I'm about to do right now. Thank you to Ben Rayner. Thank you to Eric E. Nathan, First Rate Nate, who the light system alone, the TV. I mean, it's insane. You guys are, I almost wanted to cry, to be honest with you. Eric Sestameta, Clef Elor, Denunos Cernadas. Oh, my God, thank you guys so much. Andrew Schick, multiple gifts from Andrew Schick. Justin Latham, Rudy Salazar, another one from Andrew Schick. Alan Weeks, Aunt M, Thrawn, good man, Thrawn, 2K, man. Jenny Lawson, Reese McKinney, Stephanie Hansen, sending multiple gifts. Stephanie Hansen, my God, thank you guys so much. Angela Dashner. Angela's so great on the comments, and of course here, Nathan, First Rate Nate again. Darlene Castillo, thank you so much. And these notes are so sweet that everybody has been putting in. Sebastian Escalante, a few from Sebastian Escalante. 4 from Sebastian Escalante. Oh my God, been a regular listener since you first started SEN Live in 2019. Jimmy Baker, Ryan Ferguson, William Hogg. Oh man, William Hogg went nuts. He went hog wild. He went nuts. And I thank you so much. He sent me an Instagram. He said, something's coming tomorrow. And boy, did it ever. I felt it was like a Christmas. When I walked to my porch. I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. And then Brett Schular. And finally, Kawika Stoney. And I hope I got everybody's names right. If I missed you, please tell me. I did get to all the names. If I missed you, please tell me, and I will make sure that I give you your due. And if you make sure that I'm thanking everybody. And by the way, I'm thanking everybody, obviously, who donated to making the studio better, but I'm also thanking everybody who, if you left a like, if you left a comment, people have been signing up to do the Patreon. I just did this thing where I'm doing a half an hour session with people. I put 4 of them up. I said, okay, I'll do 4 of these things, half an hour sessions, and just get to kind of shoot the breeze, me and the person. And I did my first one yesterday. Sergio. one of the great contributors of this channel. We just talked about everything. Talked about Schmodown. We talked about Star Wars. We talked about movies in general. It was great. And you guys signed up, and that sold out. The new tiers for the new Patreon, the big if you go to patreon.com/thebigthingshow, we're getting more patrons every day, and I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. PLD is running that thing. So the support that you guys have showed me and the crew since I left and we decided to go out on my own, and we started on September 1st, has been overwhelming. So I just wanted to take the time out of the show today to thank everybody for everything that you did. I mean, I'm looking at all this stuff, and we had some guests on from Cobra Kai, and Mary Mouser came into the studio, and I was like, I felt good for apologizing that the studio was in a little bit of disarray because of all the stuff that I can't wait. I mean, Brett got so excited this morning. He told me, he's like, you got to see what happened. He's like, I audibly cheered and I couldn't even help myself when I saw the lights. I said, yeah. He was like cheering for his favorite sports team, and he doesn't like sports. So yeah, thank you guys so much. And if you don't donate, nobody needs to at all. We said that since day one. If you do, please put a note so I can read your name on the air, because I want to give you the thanks. Okay, tons of stuff to talk about. And by the way, and just to let everybody know, if you don't know this stuff already, we have Audible, and you can go to you can go to Apple Podcasts, you can go to the Big Thing Clips channel. We have all the stuff that we have up there now. So we hope you check that out. Okay, first things first. I want to get to this Ahsoka. She's going to finish filming soon, and Rosario Dawson has learned martial arts for the role. Doesn't surprise anybody, does it? While promoting Clerks 3, Rosario Dawson revealed the upcoming Disney Plus series Ahsoka will complete filming in the next couple of months. And it sounds like we can expect a lot more fight out of the Togruta Jedi in the upcoming series. In exclusive with Screen Rant, Dawson was asked for an update on Ahsoka. This had to be Ash Crossan that got this out of her, I would assume. Yes, we're still filming it right now. We just have a couple months left. It's going great. It's really amazing learning martial arts in my 40s. She does not look like she's in her 40s. It's super amazing, and I don't use that word very lightly. My grandmother used to say, amazing is two blue horses. If you ever said something was amazing, because it'd be like, no, amazing is two blue horses. That pizza slice probably isn't amazing. I don't know. You've never been to Joe's. It's really good. Now we've had we've heard these bits from Dawson about learning martial arts for Ahsoka earlier this year, which is no surprise, as actors have go-to responses to similar lines of questioning, especially for projects that come out with much secrecy and protection as Star Wars. With that said, Dawson really does seem to understand the responsibility of not only bringing Ahsoka to live action, but to truly bring the character's nature to life as well. In an interview with ABC's On the Red Carpet earlier this year at Star Wars Celebration, she explained the process. It's so empowering that the more I learn, the stronger I feel connected to Ahsoka. I've done so much researching the show, but some of it is her physicality and her capabilities, and it feels amazing that I'm embodying this character in a real way, not just bringing her to live action, but really understanding her process. I love her, and she's changing my life. I love hearing that. To this point, we've only seen Ahsoka in 2 episodes of live-action Star Wars in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, but Rosario Dawson's journey with the character will take center stage as Ahsoka is set to embark on an adventure on Disney Plus next year, with Dave Filoni at the helm serving as the series showrunner. Okay. So, got a lot to talk about here. Ahsoka is going to be, I think anyway, heavily focused on Saturday, I would assume. Saturday is the Lucasfilm Disney 20th Century panel. And I'm assuming that they're going to focus pretty heavy on, they're going to show you the Mandalorian stuff, they're going to show you Ahsoka stuff. I think we're going to get some more cast on Ahsoka, but I think that as this news starts to kind of trickle out a little bit more, we're going to get more and more stuff, and I think this is a symbol. This is something that, because she's talking about it already, and I know she likes to, she's very open when she talks about it, and she gets excited about things, but I think that this is closer and closer. I think we're going to get a lot more from Ahsoka, and the fact that we're going to wrap soon, and it's almost done. And by the time, and they already said, I think the series comes out somewhere in like August. I think that's another thing we're definitely going to get at D23 is the official, when does it drop? And I think that's going to be August, I would assume. Because I think what we're going to get is, I think we're going to get the Mandalorian's going to hit in February. We'll probably get Ahsoka somewhere in August, maybe even a little later, with the Acolyte not coming out until 2024. talk about that in a little bit more too. And who knows when Skeleton Crew is coming out? I thought they said Skeleton Crew was coming out in 2023. So maybe Skeleton Crew comes out before Acolyte. I doubt it, but we'll see. So that's very interesting. That's all going down. And I think Ahsoka is highly anticipated, and also because of the idea of what Filoni and Favreau are doing with that kind of connected universe with that time period. All right, there's another one that I think this just dropped, and this is about Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays Mon Mothma in Andor. So Genevieve O'Reilly talks Mon Mothma in Andor. And by the way, this is from Star Wars Newsnet is where we get this news from. I want to make sure I give them their props. We've seen Diego Luna talk plenty about what it's like returning to the Star Wars galaxy and what audiences can expect from his character. But now, Genevieve O'Reilly has spoken at length about her return as Mon Mothma in Andor. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, O'Reilly revealed that she went back and watched Caroline Blakiston's performance as Mothma after she landed the role in Revenge of the Sith. Whenever she returns to the role, she reprised the role in Rogue One, and she's also voiced the character in Star Wars Rebels. She studied Blakiston's performance, and she delivers the famous line about the Bothans. I was always interested in her, and each time I go to play her, I go back to that scene. You can see what Caroline does in that scene. For me, there was always a pain at the heart of it. You could see that she was carrying pain, and I was really curious about what that was. What has happened in this woman's life? What does it cost her? What are the sacrifices she has made along the way to be a leader in that rebellion? I think Mothma is going to be heavily focused on in this show. I'm excited for it. O'Reilly also speaks about what we'll see from the Senator in Andor's first season. It seems like we'll get much greater look into who she is as a person, not just as a politician or a rebel leader. We really get to develop her as a character. And we get to learn about her not just as a senator, but as a woman. What her life is like, what she had to wrestle with, what the dangers are, what it costs to be here. Tony's writing is so intricate and so taut. It lives in the world of the spy genre, sociopolitical drama, and yet it's set within a Star Wars world, so it feels universal and intimate at once. So there's this is another one, man. This show it's amazing how the hype on this show is, well, I think within our circle, right? Because I think there's a lot of people outside of it. Like we always talk about this on this show on Big Thing, how outside of this world that we're in, whether it's you as a viewer of stuff that goes on in the movie world space and all that, and us as pundits or whatever the hell you want to call us, assholes. Excuse me. I didn't want to curse, but I had to, because that's come on. I mean, what are we doing here? Am I right? Come on. Talking about Wookiees. Got a Wookiee with his sunglasses on sitting next to me. 40 years old. Old man in a cloak. But I love it. And you should too. What the hell was I talking about? Genevieve O'Reilly and Mon Mothma and all that stuff. I think that Andor, though, is the thing that people are going to start to hear more about, because what I'm hearing, and this is what I think people have been looking for, and there's a couple questions. I'm going to answer this, I think, before it even comes up in the question section. This is going to be the most adult-oriented series that we're going to get so far. And what I heard was that, and I like this, that it's the least fun. And I think at the time that this show takes place, it's not supposed to be fun. I don't think Obi-Wan was supposed to be fun. And Obi-Wan was fun at points. I don't think it was supposed to be. But it was. I think this is going to be the show that people have been looking for. A lot of people, I should say. I don't want to say that everyone, because a lot of people loved some of the other series. I certainly love The Mandalorian. But anyway, so I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to get that vibe from Tony Gilroy, and then everything that Genevieve O'Reilly is saying about Mon Mothma. What I've seen so far with her in the trailers looks spectacular. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see what else do we have. What else will we be talking about before we move on to your questions? We've got some questions. I have a bunch of questions for you. Okay. Oh, the casting. Let's get to the casting of the Acolyte. Finally getting some news. We got the confirmation that we finally had Amandla was confirmed. This is just Andor stuff. How the hell do I get out of here? I'll tell you, I love Star Wars Newsnet, but they changed their whole system on how you find stuff. I don't love that. Where the hell's the news? I had it, and now it's gone. See? Okay, let's go back. It's all... Yeah, it used to be a lot easier to find. I don't know why they changed it up. Miguel, why'd you guys change this up? Is that it? Oh, there you go. It's right there. Again, sometimes I know what I'm doing. Sometimes I don't. A lot of times I don't. Joke's on you, though. I don't know why that's true. The Acolyte cast Jodie Turner-Smith, who is now the second actor revealed from the upcoming Disney Plus Star Wars series. I don't know Jodie Turner-Smith, do I? Doesn't look familiar, but let's see what she's worked on. Jodie Turner-Smith, Queen and Slim. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't see Queen and Slim. No, Without Remorse. I did see Without Remorse, but didn't love it. Has reportedly been cast in The Acolyte, which is the first live-action Star Wars work set before the events of the Skywalker saga. Deadline has revealed that Jodie Turner-Smith has become the second actor officially cast in The Acolyte, following the casting of Amanda Stenberg as the show's lead. Representatives for Lucasfilm and Turner-Smith declined to comment. The series is set to be written and showrun by Leslie Headland, best known for her work on the Netflix series Russian Doll. Like with most new Star Wars projects, very little is known about the series, other than it is taking place in the waning days of the High Republic, and that it precedes the events that will lead to the Skywalker saga. Okay, D23 coming around the corner. We're going to get some updates on the project soon. I would agree with that. This has to be Miguel that's reporting on this, right? I would assume. No, it's Grant Davis. I like Grant Davis also. Okay, so this is pretty much, I think, I mentioned this a bunch of different times, and I'll echo the same thing. When you get close to a convention, whether it's Comic-Con, Star Wars Celebration, D23, whatever it might be, when usually the reporters kind of go into a frenzy to start finding out what's going to be announced and things start to slip, and usually when that happens, like you look at all the stuff that's happening with Fantastic Four, and there's already rumors of who the director is, who Sue Storm is, who Reed Richards is. You can pretty much, I think, that close, when it comes that close to a convention, betting odds are that you should probably put the cash down that those things are probably going to come true. So and especially with no comment happening, I'm going to say you can pretty much guarantee that Jodie Turner-Smith is going to be at D23 and is probably announced in some capacity. Now, I also think the Acolyte will have more to do. I think Amanda will be out there as well, talking about their role in the project. So, will more people be? I think that not only will more people be announced, I think we're going to find out exactly what the hell the show is about. You have to. There was a completely not even mentioned at Celebration, and they were talking about Willow. Willow's jumping around the joint, doing God knows what at Celebration. What the hell's he doing there? I understand why he's at D23. He'll definitely be there. But what the hell's he doing at Star Wars Celebrations? Because he was wicked? That's some nepotism stuff, if you ever ask me. The Acolyte is a show that everybody's excited about. At least I am. And we ain't heard nothing. So I think we're going to hear about it this time. I do. What do you guys think? Would you bet on it? Would you bet on it? What do you think? Well, I think if you're going to bet on it, there's only one way to do that. Yeah, my bookie. You see that? Look at that image. There's absolutely nothing there. Perfect. But let me tell you about my bookie. My bookie, as the Bills and Rams prepare to kick off the NFL regular season, now is the time to prepare for your winning season at my bookie. Whether you're a veteran bettor or first time, my bookie gets you the most for your money with a double deposit bonus. Now, so what you do is, it's quick and it's easy. $250 deposit. Put that down, you get $500 in your account, and you can use your funds to bet instantly or as many games, contests, and props that you want. So what you do is you go to the app and you claim the bonus. And how you claim that bonus is you just go there and you put the promo code Big Thing. It's designed to add more excitement to the games and the sports that you love. You bet on the team win totals, you predict the Super Bowl winner, or you use my bookie prop builder and you secure the bag. Your winning season, it begins today, exclusively at my bookie. Well, look, the logo wasn't there, but you get the point. We're excited about having my bookie, man. I want to start doing it. Kevin Smets and I were on the phone the other day, and he was like, you should do like lines. No, not like lines in a bathroom. You shouldn't be doing that. Should be Brent's cracking up. You should do. This is a kid's show, apparently. You should be doing betting lines on saying, well, will they be announcing stuff? What's the betting line on this? What's the betting line on that? For what do you think the odds are? I would put the over-under at around, I'm going to say, percentage-wise, I'm going to go percentage-wise. I'm going to say it is 75% sure that they're going to announce a cast for Acolyte. And then Jude Law will be doing lines in the bathroom. I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen. They're going to talk more about that, about Skeleton Crew and all that as well. All right, you guys put in a bunch of questions. Good questions, too. Really good ones. So let's find those questions. I'm going to start with Russell Withaman. He's asking me this. Would you love a deepfake Tarkin with the Respeecher program voice in Andor, and do you think it would make sense to try that like Luke in this show? So there's a yes and no to that question. I do want them to do a deepfake because they got the guy, the Shamuk dude. And you look, and then what's funny is that I don't think that, and whether it was Shamuk, some people say it was or wasn't for the Luke that they did in the Boba Fett show. That's the best. That's some of the best deepfake that I've seen so far in television. Now, there's been some great ones, on the internet, but that's one of the best ones I've seen on TV. And it really is. It's important to realize how bad it can be. So there's the really good one, like I said, is Luke. I just saw another really good one, and I won't say who because it's not out yet, but I will say in Cobra Kai they use one, and I thought it was really good. And I actually even talked to the creators about it, which you'll see next week. But they talked about how much work went into it and how they had to, they weren't happy with the first pass, the second pass, the third pass. It's got to look good because people's eyes can tell right away. And obviously it's a deep fake, but how when you go, oh, that's really good, right? I just watched Samaritan recently, and now I don't know if that was de-aging or a deep fake, but that was terrible. Of a young Stallone. I mean, terrible. The movie was fine, but terrible how bad the deepfake was. It looked like a really bad video game from 2006. So it's important to appreciate, look at the work that's put in there. And if you look at Shamuk, who did, I just actually watched this morning. He actually redid Rogue One. And he did Tarkin, and Tarkin looks so much better in his cut. Now, as far as the voice goes, I don't love that voice modulator thing. I think it worked very well for Darth Vader because Darth Vader is supposed to kind of almost sound mechanic, right? He's supposed to sound like a machine. So when they're using those bits and pieces of young James Earl Jones, it works. It's a bit jarring for me with Mark Hamill. And I think there are people that can do a young Mark Hamill's voice, and other people that could do a young Luke Skywalker that it works. And the same can be said for Tarkin. Stephen Stanton, by the way, voiced Tarkin in Rebels, at least, could absolutely do the same thing and just voice over the lines if you have to. Because I would rather that than the mechanical. The mechanical voice has no emotion behind it. Until they perfect that, I'd rather not see that. But deepfake, 100%. I hope that they do it because they're starting to be like the kings of the castle with that stuff. And if they've already done it, continue to do it. They should keep doing it for sure. Okay, let's get to the next one. Oh shoot! Let me make sure that I have this actual full thing here. Oh wow! Somebody had posted this. I don't have the person's name, but they sent this and they said, what do I make of this? And it's Disney Plus saying only 3 days until Disney Plus Day, but who's counting? Then hashtag the Book of Boba Fett. What I make of it is that the rumors that have been going around is that they're going to announce Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett Season 2, because I think it's a passion project for Jon Favreau, and if he wants to do it, they're going to let him do it. And it probably is going to continue and tie into the overall story that they want to tell in this shared universe. Am I excited about it? No, I'm not. The best 2 episodes of that show were the episodes that had the Mandalorian in it and had Luke Skywalker in it. The show itself was, to me, it was a fine. The show was fine, but it was pretty dull at points, and it didn't stand out the way The Mandalorian stood out, right? Or moments from Obi-Wan stood out. And a lot of people had issues with Obi-Wan, and I had a lot of issues with Obi-Wan, but there were certain moments that really stood out. There are moments that, like episode 3, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I wasn't really, again, minus those episodes with the Mandalorian and Luke, I was never really on my seat, at the edge of my seat. And I thought that they told the big thing everyone wanted to see was him get out of the Sarlacc pit. They did. And then he just became kind of like a good guy. I thought they were doing a gangster story. If they lean back into that he's actually becomes kind of more of that figure that he was in that Mandalorian season 2 episode, I'd be interested. I mean, I'm not on the same page as some people who, when you get disappointed with Star Wars or anything, they're like, I'm not going to watch it anymore. That's their right, and they should absolutely. I'd rather them do that than to start, sending hate messages to people and stuff. I just don't watch it, which is fine. But I don't get to that point. I'm always going to be excited to see it, watch it, and get my thoughts on it. And sometimes people are going to say that I'm too critical on stuff, and then there's other people who say I love everything and this and that. So it's just part of it. You do what you do, but I'm not. I do think they're going to announce the Book of Boba Fett season 2. My reaction will be this, and then I'll watch it. And if it turns out to be good, we'll talk about it. If not, well, again, I wish they would have put their direction somewhere else. All right, moving on we go. Next question. Steven Sommers. Still directing? Any surprises that you're expecting at D23? Now, if it's Star Wars related, the only surprise that I would not be... Well, the two of them that I wouldn't be shocked, but still like, wow, they did it. The surprise of... If they announce a movie, okay, that's part one. Whether it's Taika Waititi's movie, that would be okay. That made sense to do. If they announce Lindelof, I'll be a little surprised, but I go, okay, they're going there. If they announce Kevin Feige's movie, because he'll be there, and that continues into the next panel, would be surprised and say, okay, makes sense. And if they bring in Patty Jenkins, I'll be really surprised. If all those types of things happen, that would surprise me. Wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility, but it would surprise me. If they announce, and there's another question that comes in later on that I chose that I think kind of plays into that. But those would be the big surprises if they announce a movie. I think that's going to be the biggest one for sure. Okay, let's see. Next one. From Positive Vibe. Thank you, Positive Vibe. I see your comments all of the time. And by the way, speaking of Positive Vibe and other people, I've been trying to, it's been so many great comments coming in. I'm trying to answer back as much as I can. So please forgive me if I can't get to all of them. I really try. Positive Vibe. If Kathleen Kennedy stepped down tomorrow, who would be your pick to head Lucasfilm and lead Star Wars, and what changes would you like to see? Well, I'll start with the changes. The first change I'd like to see is, and it's been kind of consistent with when the new movies came out. I'd like to see a consistent plan. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see that it actually, not some cockamamie like, oh yeah, we always had this plan and we always did this, like a full plan of an idea of, okay, let's get everybody together in a room and say we're going to start at A, we're going to end at Z, and here's how it goes. And it ties together with the movies, and it's very similar to kind of what Marvel does, because Star Wars is able to do that if they wanted to. If they could play it all together and connect things together, I'd like to see, as I said, I still think that a way that you can make money in the movies and you can build out your TV shows is to plan out and say, okay, Mandalorian, let's say season 5 is the last season of Mandalorian ever. And it's going to release in 2025. Let's just say hypothetically, in December 2025, the last episode of The Mandalorian is going to be done. So the last episode on television airs on, let's say hypothetically, December 12th. I don't know if that's a Friday, but whatever it is. December 19th in the theater is the series finale of the big movie that they shot. They put it together. They shot this whole thing. The movie's cast. It's shot, they put it out, and it's in the theater a week after it ends on TV. And people have to go out and go see it in the theater. That way you get some money back. You get a Star Wars movie. You have a plan as far as like you know where you want to go with it, and then it's on Disney Plus 3 months later, 4 months later, whatever, or whenever it runs out of steam at the box office. And because they have all this stuff in the TV, they don't have to kind of run off. I mean, you could spin stuff off, and maybe, and the opposite could be true to that as well, right? So let's say they do there was this rumor that Benioff and Weiss, the showrunners of the last Game of Thrones, were gonna do the beginning of the show, how the Jedi and the Sith first came to be. Now, let's say that they did that, and let's say that the first ones ever started that, and then inside of that you were introduced to some character, and then that character has a spin-off series on Disney Plus a year later, or whatever it might be, or character inside of that. And then they start to build off of the Old Republic and build it through the same way, kind of similar to what Game of Thrones is doing, right? Like the Targaryen lore has been built up so much in the original that when you jump back 200 years beforehand, you're so excited with the way this lore has been set up. So when you go back to, you're ready to see it. So I'd like to see that. And so the answer to your question is I would like to see a plan. Now, who I would see running it? I mean, I think the easy answer right now is Favreau and Filoni, because I think that Favreau is a really brilliant producer and filmmaker and learns from Filoni and understands and is learning more and more and more about the lore. He doesn't pretend to be this, he's a Star Wars fan, we know that, but he's not like this ultra in it philosophy. Like when George Lucas comes to the set, he's coming there to see Filoni, and Favreau realizes that. And Favreau, I almost feel like Favreau's is like, hey, I want George to be my buddy too, right? And Filoni is the guy that you want there because he knows. You listen to Filoni talk about the philosophy of Star Wars, and he's learned it straight from Favreau. And I think you need somebody like that. So tag teaming and running Lucasfilm and running the Star Wars division is completely different, because you got to remember Lucasfilm is way more than just Star Wars. It's Indiana Jones, it's Willow, it's all this other stuff that they're working on too. So I don't know how that works, and I don't know how long Kathleen Kennedy's going to want to do the job. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I just said. James Davison. Does the apparent success of Rings of Power and the House of the Dragon give you more confidence that Lucasfilm will attempt more content set long before the events of the prequel trilogy, or does that solely rest on the response to the Acolyte? I think it's a lot of, and I think that it has a lot to do with Acolyte, but also has a lot to do with Andor. I think that Lucasfilm is going to be shocked when they get the response that they're going to get to Andor, if I'm correct. And I think people are going to really call for this type of material in Star Wars. And I think that even though Star Wars was built off of fun and the serialized Flash Gordons and all that stuff, the times have changed as well, and of what we want and the content we want. There's a reason why Lord of the Rings is so, or Game of Thrones is so successful. And excuse me, these more serious shows are like, even I was talking to my brother. I'm getting tired. I've told this to you guys many times. The more serious Marvel stuff is the stuff that I respond to more. I'm getting tired of all the jokes and stuff inside Marvel. But there's certain things that I like. But overall, I like depending on where it is. And like what I liked about even the Game of Thrones, by the way, with House of the Dragon, if you're watching it, it takes place. It starts in a time of peace, but it's for more mature audiences. But you'd still have to make sure that you're gearing Star Wars toward that kids can watch it. And I'm wondering, I haven't seen Andor yet, but from what it looks and what I'm hearing is that it's more serious, and I wonder how kids are going to respond to it, because I don't necessarily think that Lucasfilm sees Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings and goes, oh, we need to be more serious now, because what they can say is, well, that's not our brand. And after Andor, they're going to find out if it's their brand or not, I think. That's my opinion on it. Now, the Acolyte, going back in that time period and exploring the lore, what I hope that they do is, I hope that, and this is kind of going back to that previous question, it seems that Filoni and Favreau have a plan inside of, they have like their own little universe going on. They have this stuff that's happening after Return of the Jedi and combining with Rebels, and all their stuff together, and everything they're involved of kind of ties together. And then everybody else is doing their own thing. I want all of the teams and all of the clans to join together and then do a whole big thing together, as opposed to just like little sects that are doing it. But that's what it seems like. Tony Gilroy seems to have his own little thing too. I guess that's another big surprise that I would be shocked if they announce that like Thrawn's going to show up in Andor. They won't, but that would shock me as well. It would shock a lot of people. All right, moving on here. Chris Van DeMail, I said that right. Will we see other rebels that we have seen before in Andor besides Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera? I think it is possible. I think it is possible that we see Hera. And the reason I say that is because she is mentioned in Andor. And I think Chopper is also a potential. And I think that because Filoni had lent those characters beforehand, I don't think that he's going to put some of his other characters in that show just yet. And from where we're at in that time period, I don't even know if we'll see Hera. Because I think Hera shows up around the time of, like I said, with Rogue One. You probably see her in like season 2. So maybe she's already she already shows up in Ahsoka. But if anybody shows up in Andor from Rebels, I would say it's either Chopper or Hera. And I don't think it's likely. That's my guess. All right, moving to the next one. Saul Torres. When do you think we'll see Thrawn first? There you go. Mandalorian season 3 or Ahsoka? Mandalorian. He wouldn't be in Mandalorian season 3, would he? Probably not. I think that's the whole point, is that Ahsoka was on the lookout for him, and she asked about Thrawn, and that was pretty much like, hey, watch my series so you see Thrawn. Because if you watch Rebels, at the end of Rebels, they're going to the unknown regions. So I don't think, I would say it's very doubtful that you see Thrawn. But again, who knows how they're going to tie in some stuff together. I don't know. I would say it's unlikely. Unlikely. Next question. Paul Reaper. Given the timeline of Andor, surely there has to be scenes, mentions, or at least the presence of Palpatine. How much do you think we'll get? Will he be in the series at all? And if he's in it, surely Vader has a presence too. So I don't think that if Palpatine shows up, that means you're getting Vader. I don't think that means that at all. So I would disagree with you that surely that's what that means, because they're not like the Beatles. Everywhere they show up, the other one's got to be. It's Palpatine's universe. Palpatine can be wherever he is. I still don't think Palpatine's going to show up either, unless it's like a conversation with Tarkin or something. But I do think he'll be mentioned the same way that he was mentioned in like the Emperor was mentioned in Episode 4. I think you have to mention him, because this is also in the height in their peak when Andor says it inside of the that trailer. Look how fat they're getting and all this stuff. They got to mention the Emperor. Now, you might hear him or a hologram or something too. I don't think you need him, but he's more possible, I think, than Vader. I think they're going to pull back on Vader for a little bit. I don't think you need Vader in this one, because I think that it takes away from the Rogue One scene if you put him in season 1 or season 2. That's my personal opinion. Leo, a teaser trailer for The Mandalorian season 3 at D23, over or under 70? Way over. I think they're going to release that full trailer that they showed, like the full trailer. So at Star Wars Celebration, they showed 2. At the first presentation, they showed it was a mini trailer, and then they showed a massive trailer at the actual panel. I think that's the one they're going to show, and I think they're going to release it to the public, because they want to get the hype going 7-8 months out. So I think it's way over. I think that's a guarantee. I think that's a my bookie. Take it to the bank. Okay. Leo's got another one. Why has the casting for the Acolyte been so slow of late? Only 2 confirmed actors, and filming starts in November. Because I think now, Leo, I'd have more of a problem with it if D23 comes along and there's no mention of the Acolyte, then I'd start asking a lot of questions. But I think the answer to that question could be wait until D23. We've already announced 2 actors. We're going to give you some more and tell you a little bit more about the project. Maybe even give you some images or whatever it is. And then I think everyone's going, oh, okay. Because if filming in November, and we're in September, then you get in cast right before it starts shooting. That's pretty normal. So, right before, I mean, yeah, that's right. Especially if they're saving it for D23. Now, if they don't get any of it, then I'm going to start asking questions. But I think it's a lock. I think it's a lock. We're going to get that as well. All right, next question. Karak323, do you think that the Disney Plus shows are bad because Disney basically tells Marvel and Lucasfilm you must make these many shows a year, so they make stuff to fill the platform? Quality doesn't matter, just make it. No, I think this is a common misconception from a lot of people that I consistently see leaving comments all the time that ask these questions. Do you think that Disney should understand Star Wars more? Disney should do this with Star Wars? Disney provides the cash, right? And there's things that they can have say in, and they're going to have notes in. If you start putting Game of Thrones type stuff with people getting their heads mutilated and banging over a sink, then Disney's going to go, wait, we can't put that on the platform. We have to put that on Hulu. What are you doing? They're going to look at the cuts for sure. But Disney is not the ones going, oh, you know what you guys should do? You guys should do a Boba Fett series. You guys should do this with Boba Fett. And you got to make sure that he's a good guy now. It's not, they can suggest stuff, but Lucasfilm's calling the shots on what they're putting out there and what they're doing and the content that they're putting out and the ideas that they have. And same thing with Marvel. If they go like, look, if they say they can say we've got, Disney goes, okay, look, we can give you, if you guys can do 4 shows, this is your budget, this is what you can do, this is the money that you guys brought in, this is what we looked at subscriber wise. If you can do more, can you do more? Sure. That you have to do it. It's not happening. It's not how it works. I mean, that's not true. It does work that way sometimes, but it's not the deal with Lucasfilm in general. People are always saying though, like, that's the question that gets me every time. It's like, well, Disney doesn't understand Star Wars. No, what you're saying, maybe you're right that maybe some people at Lucasfilm don't get it, but you got to put the blame on Lucasfilm, not Disney. It's because if you liked Infinity War or if you liked Endgame, people love Endgame, right? Do you give Disney the credit for that? No, you give Kevin Feige and Marvel. If there's your favorite Marvel movie that happened after the Disney purchase, I'm sure you have one, right? Your favorite episode of The Mandalorian, do you give Disney that credit? No, you give Lucasfilm that credit on Mandalorian. So that's the thing that I always kind of push back on that stuff. All right. Vincent Zawada. Where are you at with Star Wars? For me, I'm frustrated. The quality ever since Disney bought Lucasfilm has been a lot more misses than hits for me. And after Obi-Wan, I don't know if I want to watch for a while. I would definitely suggest watching Andor, man, because, and I don't know how you felt about Mandalorian, but, and I think it's one of these things. Now, what I was just saying, what I won't argue with is, I do think that the leadership over at the leadership over at Lucasfilm, have made a lot of really bad choices with creative and certain ideas and the way that things are approached. And I think it's a different time that we live in with the way that IPs are treated. And I think Marvel obviously is the beacon for that. And you can say what you want about how they're doing it now, but they've done so many different things over the years that it's led to this kind of big shared universe and all these different characters and all these things. And it's run by a guy in Kevin Feige who is a fan of all this stuff as well too. And it's like not this just, okay, well, this strategy can work and we can make the most money here. It's like old school kind of Paramount movie making, right? Like going, okay, put the structure together, make a hit. And it's not just that anymore. You've got to in that position, you've got to be a fan of this stuff. And not just by, oh, I love Star Wars so much. You got to be able to, there's certain things that we don't have source material and that kind of stuff. That can't be said. It's, and consistently directors dropping out and all this kind of things and not knowing the plan. And I'm very curious where the next movie that is brought up. The next movie that is brought up, or announced rather, whether it's Taika or not. Personally, I think it should be the Lindelof movie. That's the one I think that they should lead with. Because I think, well, and I don't even know what the hell it is yet. But I think that I'm telling you, if they lead with Taika's movie, and it is a Taika Waititi comedy, if it is, it is not going to go over well. And I have never wanted to be more wrong than that. I hope it's fantastic. I hope it's way more like his episode of The Mandalorian, which I thought was spectacular. But there's just a lot of decisions that have made, and it doesn't seem like that it's changed with the plan of, oh, that director is hot. Yeah, let's put that director in there. Anyway. All right, next one. I think there's only a couple left. Let's see. Next question. Brad Smith, would you rather fight a Rancor-sized Salacious Crumb or 10 Rancors the size of Salacious Crumb? It's a tough one. Depends on the kind of weapon I had. Because those little bastards, even if they have sharp teeth, you could probably just smack them around like gremlins, right? You hit them with a broom with some spikes on it. Because that's what they have in Star Wars. I don't go to lightsaber, I go broom with spikes. Because the Rancor is just big, even if it's Salacious Crumb. He sits on you, that's all she wrote. Does anybody say that anymore? That's all she wrote? And who's she? Who is she? Why do we give a crap what she wrote? Will we get any info on the Kevin Feige Star Wars movie at D23? Casting, directors, or anything like that? Doubtful. Very doubtful. The only reason that I think that it's possible is if right before the Marvel panel starts, they end with that. Because he's going to be there, obviously. And that's the lead-in and that's the segue. That's the only way I go, okay, that makes sense. But I wouldn't be surprised. They haven't talked about that thing at all. At all, minus the screenwriter who was talking about it. But Kevin Feige hasn't brought it up. Kathleen Kennedy's like, it'll happen, eventually, whenever it happens. So I don't know. I think that's very doubtful that that's going to be brought up. I think they're going to focus heavy on the TV shows. Arth Patel, do you think that Star Wars needs its own Feige-type individual, one that can guide the IP for the foreseeable future? I personally did not like Boba Fett at all, and Obi-Wan was meh. The end fight is a top 3 Star Wars moment for me, though. I think I'm more on your point of view on that series. So I agree with you. So my hype for Andor, Mando Season 3, and the other Star Wars has taken a hit. Now, look, here's the thing, though, what I would tell you here. Even though that Favreau was involved, I guess, and, well, it depends on what you thought of Boba Fett with the Mandalorian episodes, because Favreau or Filoni and Bryce Dallas Howard were involved, and that's the Mando team. But I would say I do think, yes, they do need someone, as I was mentioned before, that plan to tie it all together and to lead with passion and knowledge on all this stuff too. Not just a really good producer. You need more than just someone who's a really good producer. I think you need someone who really loves this stuff and wants to form this whole thing and can geek out about it with everyone else. Now, not everyone always agrees with that. Like, you don't need that. I think you do in order to have a real successful through line. That's my opinion. Not a lot of people agree with that, though. But I do think they need someone like that. It's not easy, though. Russell Amador, D23. Do you believe they'll announce a new Star Wars movie? Probably not. Not only that, do you think they'll provide details, whether it's Rogue One-esque or beginning of a new trilogy? All right. So what I'll say is this. If they do announce anything, then yeah, I think we'll get a little bit more about what the project is, especially if it's Taika Waititi's movie. If it's Taika Waititi's movie, I think we'll learn a little bit more about exactly what it is. And that's going to be the one that everyone's going to be talking about what the hell is it and how's it going to play. Very interesting, but I can't imagine they're going to announce a movie. I just think it's very, very unlikely. Next one, Robert Rhodes. What can we look forward to from Disney Plus Day? Any news on Ahsoka? Now, this is an interesting question because you got D23 on Friday and Saturday. What I hope they don't do, because they did this on, what the hell was it, Comic-Con? Comic-Con did this. Lord of the Rings, right? Lord of the Rings put out a trailer that dropped like 2 days before Comic-Con, and then they showed the trailer, and nobody was talking about it. Or was it vice versa? I think it was Game of Thrones. I think that's what it was. I think it was Game of Thrones put out the trailer, and nobody, especially now after seeing Game of Thrones should have put that trailer out during San Diego Comic-Con because everybody was talking about Lord of the Rings. That's what it was. So I hope they don't do that at Disney Plus Day. I hope they don't give us stuff that they were planning to also give us at the panel on Saturday. However, what Disney Plus Day does do is it allows you to fill time that maybe you wanted to announce that you say, okay, look, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to announce the cast for the Acolyte here. We're going to announce the cast here. We're going to bring out a couple of people to talk about some of our projects on Saturday, but we're going to really fill in and bring out the cast. So maybe there's some big announcements that happen, or maybe there is a few more announcents about the shows that they can focus on the movies on Saturday. I don't know. It's interesting. I think there might be some news and casting stuff and drops. And then maybe there's more to focus on Saturday. So maybe there will be a lot of. I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of drops on Disney Plus Day, but who knows? It was kind of a bust last year. I remember being kind of stinky. Self-Destruct 94, with all the high expectations for Andor, what would actually surprise you? I think what would surprise me is what I was talking about before, and that is more of a connection to the rest of the TV universe, right? Not just Rogue One, but a connection into Favreau and Filoni's world, because it could live there even though it takes place, years beforehand, it could live there somehow with certain characters. That would surprise me. It would surprise me if Thrawn showed up, and it would surprise me if more characters from the Filoniverse showed up. So that definitely would surprise me. All right, let's do. Got a couple more. Let's finish it up. Noah John, do you think the concept of Andor could be better served by focusing on the start of the rebellion more generally, with Cassian as the main character, rather than around a specific character? I think that's exactly what they're doing. This would allow more exploration of the other characters like Mon Mothma, while avoiding the title character barely being in an episode of their own show. I see. By calling it Andor, you're saying. Like happened with Boba Fett. Obviously, all speculation since it hasn't come out yet. Huge fan of your work. Well, thank you, Noah. That's very, very nice of you, and I appreciate that very much. We don't know yet, right? Because we haven't seen it. But I do think that it is. I think by calling it Andor, I actually don't disagree with you. I think they could have maybe called it something else, whatever it might have been. Star Wars Rebellion, Star Wars, whatever it might be. Star Wars Rebellion would have been interesting, but I guess Rebels is too close. But Star Wars, something like that. And then Andor being one of the main characters and having these characters inside of it could have been interesting, because you put a lot on Andor's back. However, Diego Luna is the type of actor that's okay, because he's a powerhouse, right? And he didn't, even though he's in the movie and he's fine in the movie. I mean, he's good. He's really good in the movie. But there's not a lot of detail to who he is yet, and I think you can focus on that. But I also think that what they're going to do is I think he's going to be kind of the gateway in, and let you know this is it. And then once you start meeting the other characters, you're going to be okay if you spin off and do other things with them, because I think it's different with, like, because I understand the gripe when it comes to, like, when you look at the Mandalorian or Boba Fett inside the Mandalorian episode, which I really liked, but I do understand when you have this full episode of Luke and Grogu and the Mandalorian, you're like, where's Boba Fett in this? Like, where's none of the characters are even in this that this show is about. I understand that argument. I love that it was there, and I actually think it made sense to be there, but I get it. I understand it. This is different, because this is all stuff like for Game of Thrones style, right? Like, and I know, like, that's kind of the point you're making. It's like you're calling it Game of Thrones, you're not calling it the Targaryens. So then that way, if it's focused on the Starks, this particular episode, then you're able to do one. You can do one thing that way. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out, and we will find out. We'll find out soon. All right, last question. Mike Joyce. Oh, we did that one already. So what announcements would you like to see? I think that all that stuff that I kind of previously mentioned. Stephen DeMeo, do you think they will remake A New Hope with deep fake tech? No. If there's one movie, they're never going to remake any of them. If there's one they're never going to touch, it's New Hope. They would never touch that one or do that. So I guess I do have one more. Hold on. Jordan Rattenvong. Has the success and overall quality of House of the Dragon changed your mind on having a mature-rated Star Wars series at some point in the future? Mature as in something children should not be viewing. If not, maybe just a mature science fiction fantasy series that is Star Wars-esque. Well, I think that Zack Snyder's doing something like that. But as far as Star Wars goes, I think the most mature you're going to get is something like Andor. Because I actually do not think that they should go heavier into it, because I think that the difference is that Game of Thrones made their name off of. This is not your kids' Lord of the Rings. That's basically what it was when you turn on Game of Thrones. Star Wars is Star Wars. You got there's kids that are going to want to watch Star Wars, and maybe they got to be 12 or 13 in order to watch it, or 14 and be able to watch it, or hell, maybe even 16 to be able to watch it. But I don't even think they're going to go to a rated R, nor do I think they should. That's my opinion on it. All right, look, that's it. That's the show at the moment. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe. Do that. Once again, if you do check out that Amazon list, I will give you a shout out if you please put a note. If you don't, you can always go to the comment section and just leave a comment, do the whole thing. Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, anywhere they're found. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the flip side. Peace.